Supremacy Games. Chapter 33. Joining the scam. Felix managed to stop the young lad from transferring the coins at the last second. He then rushed tearfully towards the dumbfounded seller, who had no idea that he had a nephew. Felix hugged him tightly and wailed, "Uncle, I can't let you sell your precious treasure that you risked your life to obtain for merely 6 million South Carolina." He sniffed during his speech and continued, "While its true value is much higher, I can't allow it. And I am sure even my cousin would not accept that you are trading your life work over some petty amount of coins that won't even treat her fully." He blew his nose using the shirt of the dumbfounded seller, who just kept standing in shock after the script went haywire. Just as he opened his mouth, trying to deny Felix crap, a bone-chilling whisper invaded his ears, sending goosebumps through his back. "You better play along, Mr. 1, or else I will expose your scamming gang, making sure that you have no place to do your fraud business anymore." Felix added another threat to pressure Mr. 1 into making a choice quicker. "Don't test me, lest I advertise your real faces throughout the UVR." The old man's mind kept repeating just one word: impossible, impossible. Felix didn't let him carry on his daydream in front of the crowd, lest he ruins their play by pinching his waist without being seen. My dear nephew, it's not like I have any other choice. The only thing valuable in my possession is this epic rank tier 2 bloodline. And if I don't sell it cheaply to earn money as fast as possible, my daughter will truly die." He clutched his heart in anguish and added, "I can't let that happen. My pride means absolutely nothing to me in front of the safety of my princess." The old bastard truly was a professional swindler to get into character automatically after Felix broke him off from his absent-mindedness. "There must be another way, uncle. Must be. Even if I allowed you to sell it with 6 million. It meant nothing compared to the 10 million operation fees. You are still missing 4 million. How are you going to get it? Tell me how." Felix shook Mr. 1 from his shoulders while roaring emotionally with bloodshot eyes over the miserable fate of his cousin. It turned out Felix's acting techniques were not worse than Mr. 1. Then both of them hugged each other and started sobbing next to the dismayed handsome young man, who had no idea how things turned this way. The crowd around them kept increasing, trying to see who's causing this ruckus. "Sigh, I can't look at this injustice in front of my eyes without doing anything." The red-haired elder approached the hugging duo and touched the bracelet of the Mr. 1. "This is the least thing I can do. Please accept my goodwill. Otherwise, my heart won't be at peace." Whoosh! A sudden sound resonated from the bracelet, followed by the Queen AI saying, 100,000 CS has been successfully accepted. The moment the Queen made her announcement, the entire crowd went silent. Their minds couldn't process how one can donate that much money just to help a stranger. Yet the greatest shock only arrived after the kind lady said firmly, "I as well can't let such a young lady get abused like this and then die unjustly. I will donate 500,000 CS to support a recovery." She tightened her fists and added, "This is my way of supporting all the women in the universe who lives unjust lives under the tyranny of men." This time the crowd truly went wild. After seeing with their own eyes that kind people were not extinct in the UVR, they felt their heart opening up and accepting that not everyone is evil and looking for a way to scam them of their money. So they all started to donate small amounts as well, showing their good-heartedness. At this point, anyone who didn't chime in even a few bits of coins will be treated negatively within the crowd. "I donate 300 South Carolina. Me 1,000 South Carolina. 300 South Carolina here. I will give 5,000 South Carolina. My name is Bodai. Girls add me on VR chat. I am rich. Open the way for this daddy. The only thing your father does not lack is money. I donate 700,000 South Carolina for the beautiful lady to have successful operation." Those rapist bastards are truly bringing the image of us heirs to the dirt with those actions. A flamboyant young master, wearing lavish clothes and followed by 2 servants brushing his blue long hair gently behind him, said arrogantly, "Young Master Jordan is truly the most generous person in the universe. I bow to your kindness." The servant behind him automatically started boot-licking, while brushing Jordan's hair absent-mindedly. His boot-licking level had reached the peak as his subconscious began doing the work for him. "I can't agree more, Brother Jordan. Because of them, everyone despises us now whenever we go." The young man who almost bought the bloodline side. "Even though we live our lives uprightly, holding the teachings of our families and high standards, Commoners still fear us and avoid us like plague, just because some black sheep were caught doing horrible things. He lifted his head and stared at the crowd gathered in front of him. He then took a deep breath and spoke emotionally. Truly, reputation is the most fragile thing in the universe, and to fix it, I, Lucas, heir of the Ethanin family, will add 2 million South Carolina extra on the previous 6 million. His apologies over the misconduct of those black sheep. The only thing I wish for is to let everyone knows that we heirs of prestige families are upright and kind just like everyone else. He bowed his head respectfully and requested, please spread what happened today to your friends and families. That's my only request. Everyone cheered and chanted his name loudly after his speech. Young Master Lucas, we trust your character. I love you, young master. Lucas, Lucas, Lucas. The uncle and nephew did not break out of their character, even after hearing Lucas's speech. They just kept going back and forth within the crowd, touching their bracelets and earning quick coins. Felix quickly approached Lucas with a hidden glint, after seeing that Mr. One was far away collecting donations. Young master, you are truly the brightest star in the universe. No one can reach your heart magnitude. With this money my cousin can finally live to see another day. I am grateful, I am truly grateful. Felix hugged the young master with watery eyes, while rubbing his snot on Lucas's clothes. Lucas replied with veins popping from his forehead, trying his best to hold his displeasure, not to ruin the good image he just spent 8 million South Carolina to build. Don't worry, I am just giving back to the community. Please accept the payment. He touched Felix's bracelet, transferring 8 million all at once to his bank account. Felix neither smiled nor broke out of character after seeing that amount in his account. He just hugged Lucas tighter, and kept thanking him, over and over again, until Lucas had enough and escaped his grasp, bailing away with the bottle in hand. Felix turned behind him and gloated mockingly. The 5 swindlers who were all on this play, to scam the naive young masters who come to visit the market once a year for enjoyment. It was easy to scam them because they get everything they need from the family, and even if they wanted to buy something they use secure channels to do so, provided by the family as well. The moment the 5 scammers saw Felix's mocking eyes, they knew they were all exposed. The elder with red hair, the kind lady, the young junior, the first scammer who was exposed, and finally Mr. One. All of them were on this hustle, and each had an important role to play. The fat seller job was to lower the defenses of spectators, since no one would expect to have 2 scammers next to each other, and even more for one to expose the other. Mr. One job was to obtain the goodwill of the customers, after saving them from getting cheated, thus earning him a good man tag in their heart, which will make his sob story more believable. The kind woman's role was to use her kindness as a weapon to make the first move and assist Mr. One in his sob story. The young junior role was to display the bloodline information that exists in shady website to the customers, and explain it to them using his childish naivety. Finally, the red-haired elder role was to intervene whenever there was a complication throughout their script, like Felix acting as the nephew to earn some profit from the scam as well. That's what they assumed. However, Felix never had the intention to just earn some profit, but take everything home. Unfortunately, the gang didn't know that the sheep they added to their operation due to his threats turned into a wolf that devoured everything, leaving them only the bones, which are the small donations the old man was collecting happily before. Felix winked at them one last time as he slowly submerged himself in the crowd, until his figure could not be seen anymore. The only thought that coursed through their minds, as they saw him disappear was, we were royally fucked. Chapter 34, Betting Everything. Felix walked rapidly through the crowd while changing his disguise that he used to scam the frauds into a new one. Since the moment Felix stepped inside the UVR, he was using a disguise to keep his utmost security while shopping or even offending someone, so he won't get discovered and hunted in real life. If it was not for this feature, most commoners won't dare enter the UVR, where they can get bullied constantly by people with a higher background than them. The only ones who ignore this feature and walk proudly in the UVR are those who trust their strength to protect themselves or members of strong families and bloodline clans. This was why the majority of public markets in the UVR had at least 90% scammers trying to swindle the shoppers' coins in one way or another. However, just because those swindlers had disguise on their faces, it doesn't mean that authorities can't locate their real living address. After all, the products they used for their scam need to be delivered to the buyer no matter what. If so, it will be quite easy for those backgrounds to fish them out of their holes if they followed such a lead. Even so, the scammers were still running rampage within the UVR. After all, They could just bully the commoners who had no one to rely on earning their coins. This blatant discard to the SGA authority finally pushed the Alliance into taking things upon their own hands, creating SGA markets, both in public and online. Those markets promised absolute trust in the truthfulness of their products. Anything bought inside their markets gets verified and authorized by professionals before the seller even advertises it. So one can have peace of mind while shopping without the constant pressure that what he bought was fake. But how could those capitalists in the Alliance miss such heaven-sent opportunity to earn coins from the commoners effortless? Thus, they announced a statement that every product purchased in their markets had a 20% increase on its original price to pay for the expert's assistance during the verification process. Just this rule alone single-handedly turned off the majority of commoners' expectations towards the promised SGA market, because scammers in public markets only increase the original price by 10% to 20%. It is up to the buyer to figure it out and negotiate the price down. As for cases like the scam that the gang did, were rare and few within the UVR, since not everyone had the smarts and the balls to pull it off on an heir of an influential family. Meanwhile, the SGA market might have promised them authentic items, but a 20% increase in price was still a scam, just more in the open and upfront. So most commoners and bloodliners preferred to rather take risks while shopping in the public markets than to give the SGA the satisfaction of obtaining their hard-earned money that easily. In the gambling den, Felix pressed the bet button on solid wall and laid back on the chair in a relaxed manner. He never expected to meet the 5S gang, who scammed him out of his hard-earned $350,000 South Carolina in his previous life. He always kept this bitter memory close to his heart because of the large setback it inflicted him. He was planning to use those coins to buy a rare rank Tier 2 bloodline, but after he got scammed, he got stuck in the purification realm for an extra year. This is why he instantly recognized the fat seller voice even within the noisy crowd, as he was the one responsible for cheating him out of his money. But now all is good. He got his coins back, and even with a quite substantial bonus. He was not complaining at all, especially after betting that $8 million he had on solid wall. If he won his bet, he would earn a whopping $80 million South Carolina at once. This capital can last him for quite a long time if used properly. This is why gambling on games was popular, specifically ones that includes a large number of players. The winning odds might be almost impossible, but if someone managed to win, he will truly strike a windfall. And Felix, with his memories of the future, can earn as much as he desired, without worrying about his betting information getting leaked, as the only one who knows about those details is the Queen AI. She is bound by the rules to keep everyone's private information to herself. The only thing left now is to watch the game tomorrow and hope that everything goes as planned. Otherwise, my memories are going to fuck me over, he mumbled as he entered a hover cab, planning to head towards the resources market to pre-purchase the potions that will ease up the integration process and let him awaken quicker and safer. He shivered inside the cab as he remembered his previous awakening. That lasted for 20 torturous minutes, because he didn't manage to use those potions. 7 minutes later, "Boss, do you have awakening pain relief potions?" Felix asked politely the moment he stepped inside a small cozy shop. "Let me check, handsome." A middle-aged woman smiled and stood up, heading towards the back of the store. 2 minutes later she returned and shook her head. "Sorry, handsome, I am out of stock," she quickly added after seeing his disappointed look. "The next shipment from the Forsythia Witch Empire will arrive 15 to 20 days later. I could register your name on our waiting list and call you the moment we obtain the items, if you would like to wait." "All right, I want to pre-purchase 10 bottles. I will pay tomorrow the full amount up front." He nodded in agreement and offered, "Let's sign a contract now." The lady boss's eyes brightened up and tapped on her AP bracelet, displaying a holographic contract in front of Felix. "I have requested the Queen to put conditions and terms, entailing that tomorrow you have to pay 100,000 South Carolina for 10 bottles of pain relief upfront. 15 days later, when I obtain the stock, I will send them to your real address free of charge." Felix smirked those terms and said composedly, "Change the term when I opt into. You will guarantee that the bottles arrive at my address safely without problems." He extended a finger and added, "Plus, any problem that happens during the delivery will be counted as you breaking the contract, thus paying me a fine of double the amount that I paid for." The lady boss chuckled while covering her mouth and said, "Fine by me. But I want to change the term any problem that happens during the delivery to problems that happen during the delivery will be counted as both of us breaking the contract, thus splitting the fine 50% 50%. You have a deal. Felix agreed calmly and signed the contract by etching his unique ID code on the empty signing space of the contract. The moment the signing process finished, the lady boss broke the tense atmosphere by praising him with a smile. You are good, lad, to even counterattack by adding that heavy fine in case of problems happen during the delivery, since you can simply claim that the bottles that you received were damaged, as having me pay 200,000 CS for it, while also giving you the bottles. Truly a vicious move. Still not as vicious as you, boss. He scoffed. The moment you added the term when I obtain the stock, you never plan to admit that you received it after I come to check my bottles. You can simply say that the shipment got robbed by pirates, thus removing yourself from the contract restraint, while also taking my coins. After saying his piece, he turned around and walked towards the exit. Signing a contract in the resources market is the same as signing one with the devil. The shopper must always keep a lookout for loopholes and wordplay, lest he realizes too late that he paid to get screwed over. The boss lady observed Felix's retreating back and thought, he must have gone through a painful contract experience before to keep him on his toes like this. Chapter 35. The 5S Gang. The capital city Androxa, in a house near the northern border of the city, 5 individuals were sitting around a table with ugly expressions on their faces. Who can blame them? They were just conned out of 8 million South Carolina with some tips. What's even worse was that they were professional frauds who had an infamous reputation throughout the kingdom. Countless young masters and rich newcomers fell into their schemes, losing fortunes they could never recover from. Yet this infamous gang got scammed by a stranger. Mr. 1. Can you please explain why the hell did you add that bastard in our operation? You could have simply cried out loud that you don't know him, and he will have no choice but to bounce. The kind woman from before raged while pointing her finger at Mr. 1. She couldn't handle the awkward silence in the room anymore. Miss 4. It's not like I didn't think about it. It's that I couldn't. He placed his head on the table, not daring to make eye contact with his partners and explain what happened. The moment I wanted to expose him, he whispered in my ears that if I don't play along, he will advertise our real faces in UVR, and I somehow believed him, because he called me Mr. 1. Something only you guys know. He buried his head under his arms even further and continued, after that, I could only play along, or else our scam would be exposed. Forget about earning a coin. I would have been beaten to death by the mob. Even though they couldn't kill me, the pain is 100% real, and I wanted to avoid that at all cost. You guys know I hate pain. He coughed to hide his embarrassment after mentioning that. Honestly, it was not Mr. 1's fault. The little bastard intervened at the worst possible period. At that point, we could only carry on and hope that he just wanted a piece of the profit. Alas, who would have known that he would take the entire cake and run? They all sighed helplessly after the naive junior from before mentioned what was truly in their minds. They knew that Mr. 1 should not be blamed over this, but they needed an outlet to vent their current suppressed anger. To make things even worse, young Master Lucas will hunt us down the moment he finds out that the Nightmare Bison was merely a rare ranked bloodline that was forced into evolving to epic rank. Fucking hell. Who proposed the stupid idea of hiding our gang logo and our products to spread our fame? Now we will take the brunt of the Ethanin family rage, while not earning a single fart from the scam. The red-haired elder punched the table with his side fist furiously. Suddenly they all stared at his direction speechlessly, forcing the furious elder to gulp a mouthful. Why are you looking at me? Because it was you, Mr. 2. Mr. 1 eyed him weirdly and continued after seeing his disbelieving look. I still remember with vivid details that we were in this room drinking in celebration over our first successful scam. Out of nowhere you stood on the table and proposed that idea. He coughed and changed his voice into a hoarse one, trying his best to copy the elder voice, and said, I quote, guys, I have a dream to make our gang the most infamous fraud group in the UVR. Everyone will fear us, and the crooks will respect us. But to do so we need to have a unique logo that belongs to us, then hide it in our products, to spread our legacy for all to see. Star end of quote. He shrugged his shoulders and carried on using his normal voice. Then you laughed like a madman and passed out due to alcohol. The others nodded their heads in approval as well, embarrassing the elder even move. Elder is either losing his memory or trying to pass the blame to someone else. Enough. I remembered as well after you reminded me. Just shut up already. He hit the bottom of his can on the floor to shush them and changed the subject hurriedly. What important now is to lay low without doing any large activities. since we will soon be hunted by the Lucas family. They might not be able to find us if we lived normally, but the moment we try to scam someone, they will find us in a heartbeat. Their intel network is no joke. Indeed, we need to lay low for a couple of months. I am planning to spend this period in a vacation. I always wanted to see Oceanic World. Miss Four shared her plans with clear lounging in her tone. It is a good tourist destination. I visited a couple of years ago, and it was honestly the greatest tourist experience in my life. The young junior gave her double thumbs up as approval to her destination. Mr. 5 is right. Anyone who did not visit the Oceanic World is missing half of his life. Maybe I should go with you, Miss 4. I also never seen it before. We can accompany each other. The fat seller proposed sincerely. Stay away from me, you creep. We are calling each other with numbers to not know each other real identities. So let's keep it that way and never ask me again on a date, or I will smash your little balls. She viciously threatened him, not caring about his pitiful look. Clear contrast to her kind image during the scam. Cough, you can just say no politely. Why must you always be this aggressive? If it was not for your constant attempts of hitting on me, would I need to threaten you? She eyed him coldly and added an extra harsh remake. You should change your code from Mr. 3 to ugly creep. It suits you better. I gave you my heart, so you can see my honest feelings, but you trampled on it coldly. Mr. 3 clutched his heart in anguish, but the way he kept looking at Miss 4 was tender and loving, sending chill on her back. Without warning, he cried passionately with one hand on his heart, while the other trying to reach for the disgusted Miss 4. The others who knew what was coming tried to stop him. Alas, it was too late as he began reciting a poem. Oh, how it hurts. My heartstrings had been snapped into small pieces, while my love juice covered them like flies hovering over humans' feces. Bang! Incensed and aggrieved, Miss 4 banged the table with both of her hands the moment he finished his disgusting love poem. I will not work with him anymore. I swear on it. Slam. She slammed the door shut after exiting, leaving one last loud remark behind. I don't want to see his face when I return from my vacation. Otherwise, I will quite the gang. A sudden silence engulfed the room as the other three men eyed Mr. 3, who still didn't realize that his abrupt inspiration had put him into deep shit. They cracked their knuckles noisily, managing to wake up Mr. 3 from his absent-mindedness. He gulped fearfully as he saw them approach him with deadpan expressions. Just as he tried to escape, they jumped all on him and began roughing him up mercilessly. Didn't we tell you before to stop raping our ears with your disgusting poems? It's one thing to say it to her and another to do so in our presence. Mr. 1 shouted as he stomped the creep face over and over again, breaking Mr. 3's nose and frontal teeth. Even so, he didn't stop his bashing. He must have used the poem as an excuse to vent his shame over being played by Felix. 5 minutes later, Mr. 3 lay on the ground with 4 snapped limbs, each pointing in different directions. Not mention his face that was unrecognizable after that heavy beatdown. Anyone would pass out in his condition. But Mr. 3 just smiled with his bloodied mouth that had no teeth left, and said with a hoarse inaudible voice, cough cough, you guys will never understand my art or my love for Miss 4. No matter how much you torture me, I will never change myself. You just have to live with it. Haha, cough cough. Just as he wanted to laugh at their futile attempt of stopping him from expressing his love using poems, he ended up swallowing a tooth, forcing him to choke on it. He coughed while clutching his neck, trying to expel it, but to no avail. The other bastards just laughed at his misery, not caring if he choked to death. Mr. 1 even started recording this rare event while saying, Miss 4 will pay a heavy price to have this recording. The others nodded and pointed their bracelet at Mr. 3, who gave up on relying on their assistant to save him. So, with a pain heart, he paid a heavy fee to heal his body to peak form again. The moment his body was fully healed, the others stopped their recording and changed the subject, ignoring the fuming expression of Mr. 3. What are we going to do about your nephew, Uncle Mr. 1? Mr. 5 asked sarcastically. Fuck off, don't bring that up again, or else your fate will be the same as this creep. Relax, can't one say a joke here anymore or what? Honestly, nothing much we can do about it. He probably had a disguise on when he joined our scam, and after submerging himself in the crowd, he changed into another one. Mr. 2 sighed dejectedly and continued, so no matter how we search for him, we will end up with nothing. Just like the others who searched for us after cheating them. It truly does not feel nice getting scammed. without the ability to retaliate. Is this what our victims were feeling? Mr. 5 said with a hint of remorse in his tone. Well, don't get used it. This is the first time and also the last time we get into this fucked up situation. Our next plan needs to be foolproof to block anyone who tries repeating the little bastard feat. That's the only thing we can do now, I guess. Mr. 1 returned to his seat and laid on it in a relaxed manner and added, losing 8 million makes me feel demotivated from doing any small scams. I will take a vacation like Miss 4, I guess. Hopefully I recover from this setback. Same as well. Have fun, guys. We group up in 6 months here again. And if the coast was clear, we can start our operations. See you guys later. I am heading towards Oceanic World. My love shall lead me to meet up with my soulmate. Mr. 3 said as he bolted from the room, not daring to stay. He knew if he did, they would start a round 2 of thrashing him. Whatever, that retard probably does not know that Miss 4 said Oceanic World to throw him off, while her true destination was unknown. What a moron. Spending 6 months in a planet searching for someone not even there. Should we warn him? Mr. 2 asks suddenly. They shared eye contact in silence for a while, and then exploded with laughter. Ha ha ha. Let that creep suffer. Hopefully, he dies so Miss 4 doesn't leave us. Sigh, our gang is really outbalanced. If even she left, I can't remain here anymore with 2 dudes and 1 creep. Preach true. Can't argue with that. Thus, Mr. 3's fate had been decided to spend 6 months in a planet searching like an idiot. Chapter 36, Fortune and Misfortune. Felix spent 2 hours browsing products from one shop to another. He pre-purchased every potion necessary to facilitate his awakening process. From potions that allow him to heal himself after the process ends, to potions needed to add more percentage to awaken with. Felix never planned to use only a 1% percentage to integrate with at the start. He was confident in his pain tolerance to handle even more percentages all at once. He might not be like some freaks that straight away integrates with 20% to 30%, but he was certain that he could at least awaken with 10%. This was such an eventful day. He exhaled deeply as he sat on a park bench in a relaxed manner. He licked an ice cream cone he was holding in enjoyment. While thinking of all the activities he had gone through in one day, he opened a bank account and got a loan that turned out to be useless. Then he took his revenge on the 5S gang by scamming them out of their money. Finally, he pre-ordered items for his awakening. The only thing left was to buy a beast bloodline, but he already had plans to buy it tomorrow after the game, as pre-ordering doesn't work for bloodline bottles unless one had a good reputation or friendly relation with the seller. It's probably time to log out and sleep. He yawned drowsily and requested from the queen to log him out. 2 minutes later, he wore his clothes, planning to head towards the cafeteria to eat his dinner or whatever was left of it. As he exited his room, he met face to face with the expressionless Noah, who was about to close his room door. After a few moments of eye contact, they both nodded their heads as a greeting and went towards the elevator side by side without speaking a word. The moment they stepped inside the elevator, Felix extended his finger at the floor buttons and clicked on the 40th floor, where the cafeteria was placed. Noah didn't click anything else, as the 40th floor was his destination as well. Thump. After a while, the elevator stopped. Felix and Noah both exited together and went in the same direction. Please give me this, and some of this as well. Add a little bit of sauce on the chicken. Felix ordered his dinner, using his finger to guide the counter lady. Have a nice appetite, young master. She smiled politely. Smells good. Thank you, Auntie. He took his dinner and sat at the closest empty table. Noah immediately began ordering with his finger silently, just like a mute. After getting his dinner, he nodded at the counter lady and left to sit alone in a corner table. Crackle dong. Shortly, only sounds of forks and bowls echoed in the cafeteria, as no one was in it besides Felix and Noah. The rest already ate before and left to their own room to watch Supremacy game streams or learn about the beasts of their newly found elements. Felix observed Noah as he ate slowly. He always wondered if his personality would be like Noah's, if he didn't have his grandfather to take care of him. He sighed saddened after recalling the bitter past Noah had to go through to be molded into a piece of deadwood, unresponsive to anyone but his sister. His fate was quite similar to Felix's, as he lost his parents young as well. However, their deaths were not in an incident. He lost his mother while giving birth to his sister. A few years later, his father's mental and physical health declined continuously due to his wife's sudden death, until he couldn't handle it anymore and kicked the bucket by himself. leaving the sibling duo all alone. At that period, Noah was only 8 years old, while his sister wasn't even 4 years old. He had it even worse than Felix. But he neither complained nor begged for support. He just did his duties silently, while protecting his younger sister from harm. On the other hand, there was Felix, who went on full attention-seeking tantrum after his parents' death. Like he was the only one in the world who suffered from such a pain. If he didn't have his grandfather watching his back in the shadow, he would have been exiled from the family years ago, due to his disgraceful actions that resulted in the family losing a bit of face. Felix only realized this after he matured and became an adult. Meanwhile, Noah had to mature at the mere age of 10 due to circumstances. He saw what Felix couldn't see and did what he couldn't do. Their paths were the same, but completely different at the same time. He glanced one last time at Noah in admiration, and lowered his head to continue his food in peace. 10 minutes later, Felix lifted his empty plate holder and put it next to the counter. Then he washed his hands with soap and walked back to the elevator drowsily. He truly needed to get some rest, as tomorrow will be more eventful than today. Next morning at 10 a.m., inside the same floor where the juniors got their elemental affinity assessed. The juniors as yesterday stood in 4 lines, wearing skin-tight sportswear and standard white sneakers. The elders and parents observed their children, who stood up straight and proud, with excitement and a hint of envy and hopelessness. Elder Abraham soon clarified the reason why they looked at them as such, by making a speech sternly. "You guys have no idea how big this opportunity that you have just received in this new era. Your minds cannot fathom the first and second generation disappointment over not being a junior at this moment." He brought the microphone near his mouth and spoke what was hidden in his heart and every elder in the earth, with an envious tone. "You have the right to obtain bloodline powers that can turn you into powerful undying beings, with a lifespan exceeding thousands of years, while us old people can only live a maximum of 500 years. And that's only if we drink potions or used substances. Anyone of my age, or just your parents' age, would kill to be in their youth once again, just so they can have the choice of whether to awaken or not." He sighed helplessly. "But we don't even have that choice as you do." Everyone knew so as well, simply because it was common knowledge that humans who passed the age of 30 could not handle the integration process no matter what they do or consume. It had been tested over and over again, without any positive results, thus sentencing anyone whose age was above 30 a fate of not being able to be part of the awakened race. This was a scar every parent tried to hide and suppress the grieving pain it kept causing, just so they won't burden their children any further. However, Abraham's words ripped that scar open, after he mentioned it publicly like this, resulting in mothers sobbing and sniffing quietly, while fathers burying their heads under their shirts to hide their red eyes. They were affected the hardest by their inability to awaken. After all, some of them were still in their 30s. The only thought that kept ringing in their minds over and over again, whether in day or night, was, "If only I was born a couple of years later, I might have had the chance to awaken. If only." Unfortunately, fate did not work that way. If there were some who obtained fortune, there were always others who were prone to misfortune. Fate was like a coin that had 2 sides. One represented fortune and the other misfortune. Our entire life's decisions, choices, and chances that appeared in front of us were all but fate throwing a coin in the air and waiting to see the result. Are we fated for them or not? The reason I mentioned this is not to make you feel bad for us. No, I said it to make you realize that you have something a lot of people wish to have, but can't obtain. Elder Abraham yelled furiously after seeing some juniors were about to cry due to hearing their parents' sobs. I said it to make you feel like if you didn't work hard enough in your path, you won't just disappoint yourself, but your parents and elders who were supporting you from behind without receiving anything in return. He banged the podium with the side of his fist and continued, "I said it to let you understand that not awakening successfully is the same as slapping us in the face. Finally, I said to let you know that you are our future. If you worked hard and got stronger, we might live longer to see your glory. But if you didn't, we will die at the age of 80 just like before. Since to obtain the resources needed to increase our longevity is no easy thing, and it has never been that easy. If you want your parents to accompany you as far as possible in your journey, the only choice you have is to get stronger and more powerful, to be able to repay their everlasting grace. So train like a beast and only look forward. The pain of awakening is merely momentarily. Pass it and your path to glory will open. Abraham couldn't help but roar the last part in indignation with all of his voice as tears streamed through his cheeks, no longer able to hold them back after knowing that he would forever live as a commoner and die as a commoner. Chapter 37, Handing out the Bloodlines. The juniors felt their blood turn hot from excitement and agitation after imagining a glorious future based on Abraham's speech. So, with red faces, they shouted at the top of their lungs their goals and wishes they hoped to achieve. For my parents to live forever, for me to be the strongest, for the Maxwell. The moment the last chant was heard, everyone followed after, no matter if it was a junior, parent, or an elder. For the Maxwell, Maxwell, Maxwell. The only two who didn't chant were Felix and Noah, as one faked the chant by mouthing it, while the other didn't even bother to fake it. He just stood silently within the frenzied juniors. After a while, the youngsters regained control over their emotions and quietened down. However, their eyes were completely different from how they appeared earlier. Before the speech, their eyes were calm and nonchalant. They knew that a new era had arrived in their generation, but they just took it for granted, uncaring about their parents' or elders' hidden feelings. But after hearing Abraham's raw emotions that represented all of the elderly in the world, they could not take their bloodline path with a laid-back attitude anymore. Due to the realization that they had something their parents wished for, but couldn't obtain, the only thought that ran amok in their minds was that, if they didn't take the awakening seriously, it was the same as spitting on the opportunity their family could only long for. Abraham used only words, facts, and his honest emotions to show them all of that. Good children, I trust that you will make us all proud in the future with your achievement. But first, we need to lay down a good foundation for you to do so. And this is the job of the training camps that are happening currently in every country and family like ours around the globe. Abraham smiled warmly after seeing their focused looks and continued, the training camp is extremely important for your future. He then began explaining why so, by extending 3 fingers each marking a stage of the training camp. He closed one finger and told them that the first stage had 2 months period. It would be used to train their body fitness, as well as building their pain tolerance, so they wouldn't be blindsided by the pain of the awakening process at the end of the first stage, and end up dead without even realizing what happened to them. He closed another finger and moved on to the second stage. He clarified first that it would only include those who awakened successfully. Then he carried on by mentioning the things they were going to learn in it, starting off by learning the correct method to increase their integration percentage after awakening. Secondly, what they should expect from the passives and actives abilities they were going to unlock after their awakening. Finally, he closed his hand into a fist and spoke about the last and final stage, the third. It would be used to teach them how to use their abilities properly, in addition to practicing synergies as a team. This stage would last for over 2 months as well, and in the end, there would be battles to decide on who would lead them towards the national battle. After Abraham saw their crestfallen expressions, expecting a hellish camp, he promised them with a cunning glint that the best performer during the camp would obtain an AP bracelet. I hope the training camp explanation assisted in gaining understanding on those 6 months that you will spend together. However, he didn't receive any response from the juniors, as their brains blocked every incoming noise. After he mentioned the AP bracelet, the dream device of everyone in the world currently, whether old or young, they envied Felix for getting one throughout the entire night. Some couldn't even sleep properly as they kept imagining Felix inside the UVR, living the dream. So when they heard that there was actually a chance for them to obtain it as well, their heartbeat couldn't help but accelerate in eagerness to begin showing their efforts to the elders. Abraham nodded in approval at this sight. Good, only AP bracelet can't let them pass the upcoming hellish training camp. It is Troll. Just as he dived deeper in his thoughts, a voice awakened him and the rest from their excitement. Elder, I already obtained AP bracelet, so the reward at the end is really not motivating me as much. Without proper motivation, I doubt I would survive the camp. God knows I might even fail to awaken. Felix didn't let go of this chance to sound his displeasure over not being able to obtain anything at the end of the camp. Boy, you already got AP bracelet. What else do you want? The bloodline beast and resources are already going to be given to you during the camp, so there is nothing much to give that has the same value as the bracelet. Abraham rubbed his eyebrows in vexation over this issue. Cough, I don't want much. My only request is to own 51% shares on the entire island. I want to own it, not manage it. He smiled sincerely and added, I don't think I am asking for much here. Abraham sighed in relief after hearing his wish. He quickly approved of it without even consulting the elders. He knew that they won't oppose it as well, since Felix was a true heir of the family, not an outsider to consider deeply about it. After appeasing Felix, Elder Robert decided to take things from here on, as Abraham's throat was as dry as a bone. Now it's time to show you the bloodlines that we bought for you. Robert clapped his hand twice, and the servants brought 39 trays, each holding a glass bottle containing different colors of liquid. After the servants took their position, he explained that their results in the family tradition were the criteria used to judge whether they deserve to own a rare rank bloodline or uncommon. Those who tried their best to revive the business they supervised will obtain a rare rank tier 1 bloodline, while those who simply spent their time enjoying the 5 years period in luxury, using the budget we provided, will obtain only uncommon rank bloodline. Just as some juniors tried to whine about the unfair treatment, he cut them off sternly. You did this to yourselves, not us. If you can't even take the hardship of reviving a dead business, how could we trust in your character to integrate seriously? We are not charity here. Those bloodlines cost us a fortune, he added with an unforgiving tone while looking at a few juniors who either lowered their heads in shame or stood in a daze, after realizing that nothing will save them from using a trashy uncommon bloodline. I will call you one by one and give your bloodline bottle. You can either take it with you and be responsible over it, or leave it with us here until the awakening day. It depends on you. He tapped on his bracelet and a hologram popped out, displaying a list that had juniors' names with the bloodlines they were getting next to it. This futuristic image just further increased their eagerness of working hard to obtain the bracelet. A Bodhi Maxwell Fire Element user. Due to your lackluster effort, you will obtain uncommon rank red salamander bloodline. A servant carrying the said bloodline went to Robert and gave it to him. Robert took it from there and transferred it to the upset junior, who received it unwillingly with his head bowed. Jackson Maxwell, Fog Element user. Due to your excellent hard work, you will obtain rare rank spectral owl bloodline. The youngster received it joyfully while bowing and thanking the elders for their grace. This process carried on slowly, as juniors turned past one by one. Some returned to their posts upset, while others were grinning widely like they won a jackpot. All sorts of bloodline names were thrown in the floor, each representing an element, ranging from common elements to uncommon ones. 15 minutes later, Olivia Maxwell, plant element user, come forth. Due to your astonishing way of handling your business, you earned a rare rank Lily Dendalia bloodline. A delicate young lady with short wavy pistachio green hair, deep oceanic eyes, petite nose, and beneath it cute thin lips, approached Elder Robert happily. Her entire oval visage will make anyone who looks at her scream in their mind. So cute. Plus, with her short height not even reaching 1.55 centimeters, it made her appear like a sweet young flower. No one would want to bully or displease, except for one hateful person, of course. Robert patted her head pleasantly and gave her the bloodline. Olivia received it while enjoying Robert's gentle patting. She then returned to her position, smiling cutely on the way, while holding the bottle near her non-existent chest. Chapter 38. The training camp starts. Kenny Maxwell, Darkness and Lighting Element user, step forth. You earned a rare rank Earbus Dusk bloodline, thanks to your hard efforts. Robert handed the bottle to Kenny, who received a polite, wide smile. But his smile somewhat turned creepy in the eyes of Felix, who was observing his sharp jawline, short spiky dark hair, a high-bridged nose that was among his two dark eyes, and his soft wide lips, which were very captivating. His appearance was quite unique, as some may think of him as handsome, while some would argue that he was subpar. Plus, with his multiple personalities, it did not make this difference any easier. However, Felix only thought of his face as one that should be thrashed every day to vent on what he did in his previous life. Kenny retreated to his position after paying respect towards the elders. Noah Maxwell, Ice Element user, step forth. Your reward is rare rank Cryogenic Yeti bloodline. Robert waited until Noah reached his side, then patted his shoulder in encouragement, while handing him the bottle. As the only one in the family to have a high affinity rating, everyone has great hopes on you to reach further than the rest. Noah nodded his head in appreciation to his words, and went back to the same position, standing coldly like a piece of ice. And his visage was not making it any better, as his hair was messy sky blue, styled as an undercut, ink black eyes with long thin eyebrows above, imposing straight nose and frosty unmoving lips, creating a deadly fine face. Yet with his constant expressionless look, its potential had been lowered. While some might think his uncaring looks appeared cool and aloof, the majority would beg to differ, as expressions were the true decider to beauty. Little bastard, Come here and get your rare rank toxic red boa's bloodline. Felix approached his grandfather gleefully. Train properly and don't embarrass me in front of those fogies, or else my belt will be the only snake you see in your life. Robert hugged his grandson, content with how he turned out to be. If it was not for his threat, the scene would be more heartwarming. Felix broke off from his hug and took his bottle smugly. Old geezer, after I awaken you won't be able to harm me with your belt even if you wanted. Your scaring techniques have already lost their effects on me, but you won't awaken until 2 months later. I have no problem beating the shit out of you with my belt during this period. Who knows, your pain tolerance might even increase, truly hitting 2 stones with 1 rock. Robert instantly replied with a wide grin. Then he turned to the elders and asked for their opinion. Do you guys agree? I believe only my techniques are enough to help him pass the pain and awaken. I agree. He is all yours. Beat him well. We don't want our top seedling to fail to awaken. The elders did not fail to disappoint as they all chimed in their own support. Can I watch? Olivia asked with innocent round eyes. Felix raised his eyebrows in irritation after seeing everyone looking at him mockingly, waiting to see his response. He stared at his grandfather's wide grin and said sincerely, I don't think that is a good thing to do. Our family does not approve of favoritism, so I would rather take part in the same training program as others than to let my grandpa, a board elder, gives me an advantage over my cousins. He thumped his chest and said sternly, I'm a righteous individual who condemns such actions, so I refuse to take part in it. TSK, shameless as always. I guess nothing has changed during his stay on the island. Sigh, as long as his thuggish personality was gone, I am satisfied. Everyone facepalmed after realizing that Felix had not changed for the better, but improved his shameless craft even further during his stay in the island. Too bad they didn't know that he spent years surviving in the UVR and SG to be as adaptive as he was now. Scram from my sight this instant. Robert lifted his leg, threatening to kick him if he didn't leave his side. Felix took the battle with him and returned to his position after dodging a bullet. He turned his head and gave a mysterious glint in direction of Olivia. She flinched the moment she saw that glint. The same look he used every time he planned to prank her. She almost cried tearfully after seeing a grim future waiting for her, as no one was going to save or protect her from him after he thrashed them single-handedly. 5 minutes later, all the bloodline bottles had been given to their correct owners. Robert observed the juniors in the room with an unreadable look and said, one last thing to mention before we officially start the training camp. The details of your bloodline are written at the back of the bottle. Its history, abilities, either passive or active, are all there. You can read them in your rooms after we finish today's training. If you had any energy left to do so, that is. He then returned to his seat, allowing Abraham to take it from where he left. The training camp has officially started, he proclaimed loudly, the moment he grabbed the mic. Your first task is to use 3 minutes to deliver your bloodline bottles to your rooms, and return here before the duration ends. Those who succeeded will obtain 100 merit points, while those who failed will have 100 merits deduced. If they don't have them, they will enter a merit debt. He began explaining the merit system after seeing their confused looks. You should all understand that during the period of training, everything is going to be controlled by your merits. Your food, your water, your shower, your resources, everything needs merits to trade with it. We used this method, so only those who work hard to finish their tasks will earn the right to be nurtured. As for those lazy bums, you can die of hunger, and no one will care, not even your parents. Worthless trash is not needed in the family, he said with a frigid, uncaring tone. Yet, the juniors showed no expression on their faces, as this was how they were taught since birth. Only by being useful to the family would they have worth in it. If not, they could simply leave. No one would stop them. After seeing that they had no questions about those arrangements, he told them to prepare for the countdown. The juniors all took a running position towards the elevators. 3, 2, 1, go. Everyone bolted towards the 3 elevators while holding tightly the bloodline bottles next to their chest. They knew that those elevators won't be able to hold all of them at once, which meant that the slowest of the bunch would need to use the staircase to reach their rooms. But that's quite impossible, as the floor difference between the two was 15 floors. However, it was not all fine and dandy even for those who reached the elevator first. It's not like the rest would let them peacefully close the door in their faces. Hell no. They might be a family, but they had no qualm beating their cousin's brutality for victory. This resulted in a massive battle breaking out next to the elevators. Blood splashed everywhere, as juniors kept being kicked or punched in the face the moment they stepped inside the elevator or tried to close the door. No one was spared, not even the females. Before long, The madness calmed down a bit, as the weaker juniors stopped trying to fight for the elevators and went to the staircase. Even though they understood that it was a hopeless attempt, they still had to show the elders that they tried their best. Yet the elders were not paying attention at their sympathy attempts, as they were too busy staring at Felix, who never left his position, reading in concentration his bloodline details. Indeed, if I had this bloodline in my previous life, I would have reached the first stage of replacement at least 1 year earlier. But now it didn't matter much. With his capital, he could buy at least tier 4 rare rank beast to awaken with first. He sighed at how fate works. Before, he dreamed of resetting his life to obtain a rare rank beast to awaken with. But now the beast he dreamed about and fought for appeared like a piece of junk in his hands. He wouldn't use it even if he was beaten to death. Whatever plans never go as scripted in the paper, I guess. I worked my ass off on the island to earn this bloodline. But in the end, I got a P bracelet, which was even better. You rascal, you will be the death of me. My heart can't take your bullshit anymore. You better explain why you are still here, or else I will give permission to all the parents here to beat you as revenge for their children. Now start talking. Robert was truly about to faint from anger. He just told him to try his best during the training camp. But here he was doing absolutely nothing, embarrassing him in front of the elders and seniors. Grandpa, you really need to relax. We can't afford to have you die now after ways were found to treat your disease. Worried, Felix tried to calm Robert a bit, but his words just made it even worse. Fuck, don't worry about me, worry about yourself, as you won't leave this hall in one piece if you don't say your reason. Felix sighed and walked towards Abraham, and gave him the bloodline bottle. Abraham caught it reflexively. After seeing that it was in the elder hands, Felix shrugged his shoulders and explained his reason. You said before that we can either take the bloodline with us and are handed over to you for keepsake. Well, I honestly feel like my cousins hate my guts for some unknown reason, and I can't leave the bloodline in my possession in this kind of environment. I worry some of them might destroy it or steal it as revenge. He smiled innocently and added, in this sense, I feel like the task you gave me was meaningless, as I can't run towards my room without a bottle then returning here like a retard. The elders and seniors who heard his explanation had weird expressions in their faces, but were somewhat convinced since everything he said was correct. The task was for the juniors to put the bottle in their room and return. But if he had no bottle, didn't that mean that he was simply joining in the fun for no reason? Sigh. It is our fault for leaving such loophole. If we knew, we would have given another task for those who want to leave their bloodline with us. Abraham sighed dejectedly after their first task in the camp went haywire. Well, we thought they would read the details after the training ends today, then give us their bottles to be safeguarded. Who would have known there was a shameless person who will read the details right here, then return it to us instantly? The long-nosed elder from the board chuckled while eyeing Felix. Carter is right. We failed to add Felix's shamelessness to the mix, but not anymore. All the next tasks will be loophole-free. I will make sure of it. Let's see what you can do then, rascal. Robert stared stubbornly at Felix, who was yawning in boredom, waiting for them to finish their verdict. Chapter 39 Confidence Boost. All right, Robert, that's for the future tasks. We need to decide what to do with him now. Should we reward him with merits or not? Charlotte dragged the stubborn Robert back in his seat. Just give him 200 merits, since he used his brain and found the loophole. We can't punish him for relying on wits. We would be the laughingstock of all business families if we did so. Agreed. Second that. Indeed, he did not break the rules. Felix, we decided that you shall be rewarded with 200 merits, instead of the original 100. Take it as a bonus reward. Abraham smiled with a hidden glint. Felix saw it, but did not know what he meant by it, so he stopped thinking about it and accepted the free points. 2 minutes later, half the juniors arrived without breaking a sweat, as they used the elevators and did not need to run too much, though they were covered in blood and scratches. Some even had their teeth knocked out. They really fought tooth and nail for those 100 points, but they still had it better than the rest, who were probably still in their rooms or climbing back the stairs. They got beat up but still failed the task. Everyone who reached saw Felix standing in the same position while staring at the ceiling, absent-minded, like he was contemplating his life choices. However, they did not find it weird, as they assumed that he just arrived as well from another elevator. The only thing questionable about him was the fact that he had no injuries like them. They soon began to question each other on who rode with the devil himself. I took the first elevator. He was not us. Me second. I definitely didn't see him with us. The hell? He didn't take the third as well. In the end, they stared at Felix speechlessly. not knowing his reason for giving up on the task. The thought that he used the stairs didn't even cross their minds. No matter how godlike Felix appeared when he threshed them before, common sense still applied to him. 5 minutes later, the rest of the juniors, who took the stairs, arrived as well. Surprisingly, Kenny and Olivia were within them. Well, for Olivia it could be understood, as she didn't participate in their fight. However, for Kenny, a quite strong and intelligent junior, to not win a spot inside the elevator, it was quite weird. The elders did not rush them after seeing their horrendous fitness. Their eyelids couldn't help but twitch couple times as they noticed few juniors vomiting their breakfast in the corners of the floor. The entire reason for this simple task was to find out only 2 things: ruthlessness and fitness. They were quite pleased with the former, but the latter was quite a disappointment. After a while, Abraham clapped his hands twice to bring their attention towards him. Since everyone is here, it is time to evaluate your performance. He clicked on his bracelet and a hologram popped out. 21 of you managed to pass the task successfully. I will call the names of those who passed. If you did not hear your names, it meant that you failed. He read the names of those who passed from the holographic list: Jack, David, Owen, Luke, Sarah, Noah, Felix. Those who heard their names clutched their fists, while those who didn't cried miserably over losing 100 merits that they didn't even possess. Thoughts of fasting crossed their minds. Suddenly, someone of those who passed realized that Felix finished the task as well, which was quite weird, as he believed that Felix didn't even take part in the first place. After all, he was not in any elevator, and definitely didn't use the stairs. So why the fuck did he pass? He approached a cousin from the losing bracket and ratted on Felix without a flinch. Let him ask the elders. No need for me to question their decisions. I still want my life. But those morons will dare to confront the elders about this blatant favoritism. He retreated to his position and continued to massage his bruised cheek. Before long, the news kept passing from one to another, until hushed whispers noises resonated in the hall. The noise got so bad even the elders were alerted. Enough! What's the matter with you? You better explain yourselves or else everyone is going to get 20 merits deducted. Abraham banged his fist on the podium over this blatant disrespect in their faces. Silence suddenly descended in the floor, as everyone was too afraid to make a fart in the presence of an angry elder. They might be polite and gentle most of the time, but when they get furious, shit gets real pretty fast. If they didn't have a vicious, rough personality, they wouldn't have been able to secure their position as a business empire family elder. Speak! Abraham didn't have time to indulge in their silence, as more important matters were waiting for him. Elder, we were conversing about Felix. It came to our attention that he managed to pass the test without doing anything, so we were just wondering how he did it, so we can learn from him next time. Junior, wearing glasses, bowed his head respectfully and explained without a stutter. Other elders smiled in approval at his explanation. They appreciated the fact he was smart enough to question their decision without being upfront and saying directly why he passed while doing jack shit and not us. It's simple. He was the only one who found the hidden mission we left behind during the task. If you used your intelligence like we taught you and not run like monkeys the moment we gave you an order, you might have been able to see it as well. The rest of the elders and seniors were struggling to hold their laughter as they listened to Abraham spew bullshit through his teeth sternly. This hidden mission was to see who is able to take advantage of the family safeguarding mechanism we mentioned before, to pass the task without breaking a sweat. If you used your brain for a second, you might have realized that by giving us your bloodlines, you wouldn't need to run to your rooms in the first place, just like Felix did. Next time use your fucking brains. Dissatisfied and disappointed, Elder Abraham scolded them, uncaring about the elders behind him, who were trying their best not to bust his act. The only one who knew that Abraham was lying but didn't find funny was Felix, as he gaped wide-eyed at Elder Abraham. Twist facts and truths to make it seem like it was their plan all along to have the loophole he discovered as a hidden mission. Only now did he realize the reason for their generosity and Abraham's hidden glint. He rubbed his eyebrows at their silly attempt to shush him with a bribe. It's clear as day that the elders didn't want to lose the training camp dignity before it even began. After all, for the first task to have such a large loophole would turn it into a joke in the eyes of their juniors, and they couldn't allow that to happen no matter what. Meanwhile, those youngsters kept switching their sight between Abraham and Felix with bulging eyes, not daring to accept the fact that their IQ was even lower than Felix, the thug of the family who skipped every class in school. In their eyes, accepting it was the same as stressing that their time spent studying and learning to become smarter was but for naught. Soon their shock was replaced with numbness as they stopped dwelling deeper into it. Felix already surpassed them in courage, foresight, combat, and stamina. It would be weird not to beat them in intelligence as well. Guess we can just die. Our existence is merely there so the elders can compare us. If so, it's better to just end it now. I got beat up, ran 15 floors twice, just to be slapped by the reality that I could have avoided it. I should just throw myself out of the window and save my parents' face. Suddenly the floor turned chilly, as half of the juniors stared at the ceiling with suicidal thoughts. Abraham instantly realized that his plan had backfired after seeing their expression of admitting defeat. He tried to salvage the situation hurriedly by flattering them. We the elders might not show it, but we truly admire the fact that you didn't give up on the task, knowingly that it was impossible to pass. So hold your heads up, the training camp has just begun. Trust me, there are hundreds of ways to showcase your talents and magnificence. Some of you might awaken faster than Felix, while some of you might obtain better abilities than him. You just have to find your way to surpass him. Abraham had absolutely no qualms using Felix as a stepping stone to flatter them. As long as their determination reignites, he wouldn't mind slapping Felix with some merits points as compensation. Am I right, Felix? He decided to put Felix in his charade, after seeing that nothing of what he said worked. Vexed, Felix sighed at this sight. He didn't know why Abraham was even trying to help those pieces of trash who lost their goal at the first setback in their long integration journey. But he could only play along. It's not like he was not getting paid. Indeed, I am not the best or even close to being that. Just yesterday I saw in the UVR multiple humans with different unique talents that I can only wish to obtain. He slumped his shoulders and added, sadly, I can't, since it belongs to them only, and no one can take it from them. Did you hear him? You just need to find your unique talent, and no one is going to be as good as you while doing it. So lift your heads up. It is too early to feel discouraged. The training has just begun, and I can't allow you to give up now. Abraham swiftly supported Felix with a penetrating voice, which struck the hearts of those losers who were about to give up on their path. In a sense, it was quite understandable, as no one would want to live a life where their entire existence was merely a supporting character to be compared to others. They simply hoped to be the main character of their own lives and stories. And what Abraham and Felix mentioned was the ignition to help them achieve it. The chilly atmosphere was gone as suddenly as it appeared. How could it not? When those losers' eyes were emitting blazing flames like torches, eager to find the unique talent that set them apart from the rest. Felix scratched his cheek while observing the results of his confidence boost. Let's see how far it's going to last you for. Well, whatever, as long as I get paid with merits over my boosting, I don't mind doing it again. Chapter 40. You have no idea. After seeing that his attempt managed to uplift their spirits, older Abraham decided to strike the iron while it's hot and explain the next task. Alright, give me your attention. This task purpose was only to give us a glimpse at your fitness level, and to be frank, it's horrible. So starting from today until you awaken, you will have to run 5 kilometers on the treadmill, do 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, 50 squats for the next 30 days. Elder Abraham continued his explanation, unbothered about the few whines here and there about the difficulty of the training. Each exercise is limited to 2 hours. That means the total hours of practice will be 8 hours each day in the week, except Sunday. You can take a break in them. They sighed in relief after hearing that. They truly didn't have what it took to finish all the exercises every single day, without a break. As he said, their fitness was trash, and for them to start with those exercises were already more than enough to physically and mentally fatigues them. Finally, each exercise you finish during the allowed period will provide you with 200 merits as a reward. That means you can earn as much as 800 merits every day if you worked hard for it. On the other hand, if you failed to finish one exercise, the same amount will be deducted. We emailed the details of the merits system to your emails. You can read them later. Now go do as you wish. If you want to train, do it. If you want to play, do it. Just be aware that everything is being supervised and monitored. He waved his hand and turned away, planning to leave with the rest of the elders. However, a junior question soon stopped him in his tracks. What about the second month elder? Oh, that will be for your pain tolerance drilling. But you don't need to hear details about it. Now leave my sight. I am too tired. He shooed them away and left with the elders and seniors hastily. They had an empire to run. It's not like they could keep watching them train daily. No one had that much time. The only elder left to supervise them was Robert, who had a wide grin planted on his face. while gazing at Felix like a hawk. Noisy chatter engulfed the floor as youngsters all spread apart in groups. Some headed straight to the gym to start their training, while some went to clean up after vomiting their guts out, each to his own. The only thing that mattered was to finish the exercises in 8 hours every day. Meanwhile, Felix decided to start training ASAP, so he could catch solid wall game tonight. As he was walking absent-mindedly thinking about tonight's game, he bumped into Olivia, who was waiting in front of the elevator. Ouch, watch where you are going, Kaya Felix. Olivia didn't even wait to finish her scolding before she bolted towards the stairs with her small legs, like she saw a ghost. What the fuck? I am not going to eat you to run away from me. Felix's eyelids twitched at this sight. But since you decided to run, this is a clear approval of letting me chase after you. He glanced at his bracelet and saw that he still had some hours to kill. So he gave a wolfish grin and sprinted after her. Suddenly, everyone stopped what they were doing and just watched Felix chasing after Olivia around the building, floor after floor, room after room. Olivia kept running with tears streaming through her cheeks. She constantly cried for help every time she met with a cousin, but no one dared to assist her. The alliance had been broken by Felix's sheer brutality. Everyone was on his own at this point. Olivia's friends could only pray in their minds for Felix to get bored and leave her alone. Robert watched this scene in the monitor's room, while holding a popcorn bucket in one hand and remote control in the other. He zoomed at Olivia, who was sobbing while apologizing to Felix for provoking him earlier. Then he zoomed at his grandson, who always kept a distance between him and Olivia to enjoy the hunt even more. His wolfish grin and evil laugh was clear evidence of pleasure over bullying this little sheep. This bastard truly never gives a break to poor Olivia. I guess it is time to save her, or else she won't dare to leave her room anymore. Robert brought a microphone near his mouth and ordered sternly, Felix, you have 3 seconds to leave Olivia alone. Otherwise, you will have a date with my belt tonight. Felix clicked his tongue and changed his direction, heading towards the gym to start training properly. Olivia glanced at her back, after noticing that Felix's wolfish howls he used to scare her with stopped coming. Did he really listen to Grandpa Robert? She chewed her lips while observing the area around her. She knew that Felix rarely listened to his grandfather's orders, so he could be hiding anywhere. After a while, she relaxed her tense shoulders and dropped to the floor. She began massaging her sour legs in a gentle manner. It seems like he truly left. I really need to stop provoking him. He is always looking for a reason to bully me. She clutched her fist and narrowed her eyes. But things are going to change if I awaken successfully. He won't be able to bully me anymore. She laughed foolishly. It might even be my turn to bully him. Soon, she stood up and walked in direction of the elevator with that foolish cute smile, imagining herself wearing wolf clothes while stepping on Felix, who was begging for mercy. Suddenly, her imagination was destroyed when she heard a teasing whisper in her ear. Gotcha, little Oli. Kaya. The moment she heard Felix's voice, she shrieked for a few seconds and fainted on the ground with her eyes rolled in her head. Felix, I will fucking kill you tonight if you don't leave her alone. Robert's infuriated voice resounded throughout the entire building, scaring the shit out of the elders and juniors. Fine. Can't one play a prank on fellow family members these days or what? Aggrieved and irritated, he lifted the passed out Olivia in a princess carry. But shortly, he switched to carrying her on his shoulder, leaving her arms and legs to dangle both sides. It's better this way. If I carried her like a princess, she might faint again if she saw my face. Afterward, he trod towards the elevator, planning to visit the gym, which was at the 10th floor, this time for real. 3 minutes later, the elevator door opened up slowly, revealing Felix carrying Olivia like a sandbag. Everyone froze whatever they were doing and stared at Felix walking unhurried towards the bathroom, like nothing was wrong with the current situation. Felix noticed their stunned looks, but he didn't bother explaining himself. He simply stepped inside the bathroom and locked it shut. Cluck. The sound of the door getting locked broke them out of their daze. Is he finally going to drop the facade and do the deed? I knew it. He always bullied Olivia, just to be with her, since he had feelings for her. Oh, I wish I could watch. Should I risk it and take a quick peek? What a monster, to do it while she is unconscious. Noah. Their thoughts went wild as they bore on the bathroom door, not daring to approach it or condemn Felix out loud on his misleading actions. If even Robert allowed it, why should they interfere? It's always better to mind your business. Felix put Olivia on the toilet chair and sprinkled cold water on her face. After seeing a positive reaction, he left the toilet and closed the door on her. A few seconds later, her eyelashes quivered, and her button-like nose wrinkled as cold water drops streaming through it. She scratched it reflexively and opened her eyes groggily. As she regained full clarity, she noticed her current strange position. Where is Felix and who put me here? Is this one of his pranks? She adjusted her training outfit cuffs while chewing on her lips. Little Oli, come out, and stop chewing your lips. I always told you to remove that habit of yours. Felix knocked on her toilet door 2 times and said, we are in the bathroom without monitor cameras. I want to talk to you seriously about something. His voice wasn't commending or harsh. He simply soothed her with a gentle tone. Olivia didn't scream in fear this time. She just sighed helplessly and opened the door. She popped her small head first, surveying the area with wide eyes, trying to locate Felix's whereabouts. She didn't want another jump scare. Soon, her watery blue eyes locked into Felix's gentle eyes. She instantly lowered her head embarrassed, not daring to continue having eye contact with him. However, Felix lightly knocked on the sink, bringing her attention back to him. He didn't take her to the bathroom to exchange those lovey-dovey eye contacts, but for serious business. Little Oli, don't take what you are about to hear personally. He faced the mirror, ignoring Olivia's confused look and said, you will die a horrible death if you awaken with your current bubbly non-serious personality. Not just you, but at least 70% of our cousins will meet the same fate. He sighed as he saw her parted lips and befuddled eyes through her reflection on the mirror. Everyone believes that they are the chosen ones, who will surely pass the pain using only sheer will like they were in a fantasy novel. He faced her, but let me tell you something, Oli. This is reality, where anyone who braved the awakening process with only their courage and determination died horribly. Olivia took a step back, after being frightened by his serious look and stern tone. He didn't seem like he was joking or pranking her at all, which scared her even more. Felix didn't care about comforting her, as he simply narrowed his eyes and asked, do you still dare to awaken now? He added, and if you do, tell me why. Olivia didn't answer him, as she was trying her best to process the fact that she would die during awakening. She always believed that she could handle the infamous painful process, because she thought that since people could pass it successfully, why couldn't she do the same? Yet, Felix blatantly made it clear that was merely wishful thinking. What bothered her even more was the way he said so confidently and certain of it happening. She couldn't help but have some doubts in her mind. However, doubts were doubts. It didn't mean she trusted his words entirely. She wasn't stupid to believe everything that he said, especially the reality that 70% of her cousins would die as well. How do you know about all of this? And if it was true, how could you know it while the family doesn't? She fired her inquires while chewing on her lips again, a habit she always had since young. Don't tell me you found out about it during one night in UVR, because the family had them for over 5 months now. This meant they would have already known about it long ago. But that's impossible, as they won't allow us to awaken if the majority of us will die just like you mentioned. She stared at his eyes defiantly, not daring to believe him and not wanting to. If she did, it signified one horrifying fact. That was, the family had no qualms sending 70% of their children to certain death. Felix gave a sinister smile and whispered in her ear. His breath sent a chill inside her earlobe. Little Oli, you have no idea at all what the temptation of longevity can push one to do. No idea at all.